There are 8.1 billion people on this planet. 8.1 billion people, and I've decided that out of all of those people, the person that I'm going to take pictures of is me. Understandably, this might lead one to interpret self-portraits to be a bit narcissistic or self-indulgent at the least. And maybe you're right about that. Maybe it's nothing more than useless navel-gazing. Or maybe it's a lesson in empathy. Perhaps self-portraits are actually a long-standing tradition amongst artists in an attempt to further understand themselves. And as a result, learn to further understand one another and ultimately humanity. Now, not all self-portraits are created equally. Snapping a quick selfie with the squad at the fingerboard park isn't exactly going to create world peace. But selfies are still self-portraits. They mainly serve as a simple documentation of your appearance and your location and association. But a self-portrait can be so much more than that. As stated in the name, it's a portrayal of one's self. And you and I both know that there's far more to yourself than just your appearance or location. But that's not to say that selfies are inferior in any way. As a matter of fact, some of the most revered artwork of all time, I would categorize to be selfies. I took a day to study some different self-portraits at the Met, and just about every self-portrait I saw, from the Renaissance period and even the Baroque and Romantic period, I would consider all to be selfies. They document the artist's appearance and maybe a relevant location or possession, and in some cases would even attempt to portray themselves to be more important or more wealthy than they actually were. Sounds like the selfie hasn't changed much, honestly. During the Renaissance period, painters weren't really even considered artists. They were considered craftsmen, much like a carpenter or a blacksmith. Their job was just to document how a person or a scene looked. But right around the time that photography was invented, you start to see some really interesting changes in artwork. Impressionism, Cubism, Expressionism, Surrealism, modern art had taken off. Now, it's not like photography was the sole reason that all of these art forms were born. It's far more complex than that. There's far more factors and reactions that created these art forms. But it still is a very interesting correlation to me that as soon as we became capable of documenting exactly how a scene or person looked through photography, and as artists started to see and understand that this was possible, it's almost like you can see complete freedom of form and expression breathed into painting. Once painting was no longer primarily a form of documentation, that's when it really started to become an art form.
I figured I was going to be in the museum for like 2 hours tops, and I ended up being there for 4 hours. But that was one of the more enjoyable ways I've ever experienced a museum, because I was only looking for self-portraits, so I didn't have to feel that overwhelm of trying to see every single thing and just getting burnt out and worn out trying to see everything possible. So being able to kind of just zip through the parts that there weren't any self-portraits and then stop anytime there were self-portraits was actually an extremely enjoyable experience. And oh man, I've got some inspiration. I learned some things. It was a great day.
In the past, when I've done self-portraits, I've really only taken selfies. This time around, the goal is to scratch just a little deeper than that. I want to get just a couple of self-portraits that convey a feeling or capture something just a little bit deeper about myself. So, to start off, I just bought some really cheap clear plastic painter's blankets and a black shower curtain. I'm gonna play around a little bit with this idea of feeling trapped. trapped in who you are and some of the same patterns you can't seem to shake about yourself, and the character that you are, things that you can't change, like where you grew up and the country you were born in and the culture that raised you. There's this somewhat suffocating feeling of being stuck with yourself, and despite the infinite amount of human experiences that are possible, you are confined to this one single body. Okay, I'm so tired now, but basically this ended up being the final setup, and I think the ones that I'll be the most happy with. It was so much trial and error. There are so many dumb looking clips in there. I probably won't even show you the most embarrassing ones, and you'll see some really embarrassing ones, but I still think I got maybe 2 or 3 that I really like though, so yay, I'm going to bed. I'm actually pretty happy with these. I'm stoked on how a few of these turned out. I think it certainly conveys some type of feeling. How you interpret it might be different than how I intended it to feel when I created it, but they certainly convey a feeling and an emotion, and yeah, I'm happy with them. So that was day 1, but day 2 was not as successful. I just was planning on going out for a walk to take self-portraits only via reflections. I thought that this would be a good way to gather self-portraits and convey the part of me that sometimes just wants to hide and to blend into the shadows and not really be that scene. But the end result is just so-so. I didn't really find any reflections that I was that excited about. But I wanted to include this because it's just part of the process. Like, failures happen all the time, and it still was so enjoyable just to walk around and to be thinking in this different way, thinking through reflections and attempting to get something. I just didn't get anything that I liked, so on to the next. When it comes to making artwork that attempts to express an emotion and to convey a certain feeling, there is no tool more powerful, in my opinion, than music. I rely on music heavily in my work. I think it does so much of the heavy lifting in conveying emotion and assisting to keep the story moving along. So finding the right music to pair with my videos is such a crucial part of the process, and Musicbed just makes that part of the process so easy and enjoyable. When I use music in my work, I view that as a collaboration with an artist rather than just a mere editing tool. Since Musicbed allows their artists to maintain the rights to their own music, the result is a platform that is full of music from super talented artists that genuinely care about their work. And in my opinion, music can just make or break a film or a video, so it's invaluable to have access to a collection of music like this. I'm a huge fan. I've been using Musicbed forever. The collection of music is vast and it's always growing. The playlists are great, and the search tools just make it easy to find what you need. You can hear the difference for yourself and start a 14-day free trial with the link in the description. I was planning on taking a completely different picture right now, and as I was setting up for it, I saw this light on the ground, and I don't know, I like this perspective with the fisheye. Kind of just feels like it's missing something. Fog. Oh, it looks way better with the fog. Everything looks better with fog. I wouldn't say that I love these, I'm glad I did them. I feel like they were very spur of the moment. Like I saw that light on the floor and was like, cool, I'm gonna play around with this, use the fisheye. And I think there's something there. I don't think I quite captured it, but I'm happy enough with them. They're fine.
Welcome, please come.
Cool. What's up? How's it going? This was such a fun, unexpected twist in the self-portrait journey. I've gotten pretty used to working by myself most of the time, and especially for a self-portrait project. I wasn't really planning on working with anyone, but then I was talking with my friend Bella, and she mentioned that her studio space was available if I wanted to use it at all. And at this point, my self-portraits felt a little incomplete. I didn't feel like I'd captured the one yet. I was trying to decide which color to use as a backdrop, and I have no good reason for it, but we're gonna go with Mylar. Yeah, because all the other ones have been experimental, so why not keep it experimental? But this became such a successful shoot. We kind of just played around with different setups, and after Bella was already so generous with her space, she also helped me come up with all kinds of sick ideas with the Mylar and different setups we could do, so it just ended up being such a fun shoot. But the end result are definitely some of my favorite photos from this whole experiment, and honestly, I think I got the one. I think I got the one that most accurately represents what it feels like to be Jake.frew.
Oh, brother, this guy's...
Okay, maybe not quite, but I do love the fact that I ended up with a handsome Squidward photo of myself. But honestly, the other reflection one, that one I actually love, where my face doesn't look like handsome Squidward, but it looks distorted and very just out of place for a few reasons. This photo portrays something that feels so accurate about myself, and that is a difficulty. Wow, this is gonna get really... So often I feel that I struggle to see in myself what other people see in me. It's like when I'm looking in the mirror, I see this extremely distorted version of myself. I have trouble saying kind things to myself. I have trouble liking things about myself. And so I feel like this photo captures that. I feel like this photo represents looking in the mirror and just seeing this distortion and this ugly version of myself that other people don't see. That, and it's kind of hilarious in this photo because I largely hid it, but during this entire shoot, I had like a swollen eyelid. So the whole time I felt pretty nervous that my face was like gonna look weird because my eyelid was swollen. So it's hilarious that this photo turned out like this because it's kind of how I felt that day. Schaefer was with me and I was telling him that I felt like Sloth from the Goonies. So wow, actually now that I look at it, this photo also makes me look like Sloth from the Goonies, which I felt like that whole week. So hey, I think with all that said, it was a success. I got a couple self-portraits that I'm really happy with. Also got some good selfies along the way. It was a success. This was super fun. Honestly, I recommend it. There's something really freeing about taking self-portraits that don't just convey what you look like self-portraits that go beyond appearance. It's really refreshing, and somehow it felt easier to do than taking selfies. I really enjoyed trying to convey how I feel rather than how I look. But if you end up doing a self-portrait after this video, please tag me in it. I'd love to see any attempts and how it goes for you. And just thanks as always for being here. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you soon.